And there is a mistake in the title for this one. Hold on, somebody's just talking to me. Okay. There is a mistake in the title for this one, and it's a really common mistake. It's a mistake with conditionals. There is a misunderstanding with conditionals, and I try to clear up this misunderstanding by telling everybody that if I will is always wrong, and if I would is always wrong. Yeah. Because this is what I see, and this is what I see in this title. I see what if, yeah, so we've got an if there, education would. So we've got if education would, if I would. It's always wrong. Yeah, it's always wrong. I've had lots of people disagree with me here and try to argue that it is correct, but it's always wrong, as far as I can see. The only time when I might let you get away with using if and would is if you would be so kind. And I do appreciate that in lots of old literature, such as Sherlock Holmes, you will find if I would do this, you would do that. And you will find if I would have done this, he would have done that. But I want to make it really clear that that's not how we use conditionals nowadays. Yeah, okay, you can find it in an old book, but that's not how we use conditionals nowadays. And if you are using conditionals like that, it will sound incorrect. So let's use a past simple or one of the other past tenses after the if. Yeah. What if education were universal? Now, you might be thinking education were subjunctive. Okay, this is subjunctive. What if education was would be indicative, but use subjunctive for second and third conditional because they're hypothetical, and we use subjunctive with hypotheticals. So what if education were universal? Subjunctive. Yeah. Okay, let's keep going. High level education is the main driver for developments in science, or the main driver responsible for, that would work actually, the main driver responsible for developments in science. So you can keep that responsible, but you can't say is the main responsible for developments, because you're saying is the main adjective and then responsible adjective. We need a noun, yeah? And responsibility is not the correct noun here. Is the main responsibility? No. It's the main driver. Yeah, it drives developments in science. So it's the main driver for developments in science, or maybe the main driver of. In fact, I prefer that, the main driver of developments in science. That sounds better. These advances improve the quality of life for everyone. Besides, they create hope. Now, I didn't like hope for complex issues. We don't really say that when we're talking about problems as such. We don't say this creates hope for pollution. Not really. Let's change it slightly to they create hope that we will overcome complex issues such as pollution, the ever-growing population. You can say the growing population. You can. But I just put that in as, you know, it just adds a little bit more emphasis that this is never ending. It's the ever-growing population, limited natural resources, and climate change. However, good quality education is only available to a small portion of human beings. I do recommend the only here. It emphasizes again that only some people get a high quality education, whereas many others do not. So according to the UNESCO Institute for Statistics, roughly 14% of the world population is still illiterate. What are the obstacles to make advanced education available to everyone? Not available for somebody, but available to somebody. And we'll see that mistake repeated. So what could that access bring to human societies? The first issue experts point out as responsible for preventing all people from having higher education is the economic imbalance. I think imbalance sounds better as a noun, personally. I know you might find unbalance in some dictionaries, but I do prefer imbalance, or disbalance even, but not unbalance personally. They're the two that I hear all the time. Nevertheless, if some still had doubts about formal remote education, or just about remote education, the recent COVID-19 pandemic proved that this was possible. Yeah, I think we do need that. Proved that that remote education was possible. This model of distance learning has a significantly lower cost than its conventional counterpart. The major obstacle is just providing free internet access worldwide. However, this access is already a goal for companies such as SpaceX, Facebook, and Google, among others. Besides, electronic devices are cheaper every day? No, I prefer get cheaper every day or grow cheaper every day, just because you've got to make it clear that this is a process. And it sounds weird to use the verb to be, which is a state, for something which gets cheaper every day. Yeah, we wouldn't say that. And it's like the difference between be married, which is a state, and get married, which is a process. Yeah, be cheaper is a state and get cheaper is the process. So get cheaper sounds much better, or grow cheaper. In strong opposition to this are certain interests. Non-democratic governors undoubtedly fear losing control of their citizens. I didn't like under this point of view. It's not what we say from this point of view, maybe, and they are quite right, because it is harder to get complete submission from educated people, sorry. However, even democratic countries have many concerns about sharing knowledge. Nowadays, the wealth in the world is not only based on traditional commodities such as oil, metals, and crops. Technology and scientific understanding are more and more where the power lies. Yeah, we do say it that way, man. We don't say where lies the power. You can invert those two sometimes, but not here, where the power lies. When education becomes available for all human beings, how will some countries, I've made a mistake here, how will some countries stay wealthier than others? Sorry. How will some countries, or how do some countries stay wealthier than others? Some scholars highlight the possibility of the world, not a world, otherwise it sounds like it could not necessarily ours, but we're talking about our world. So the world becoming more dangerous and prone to war with higher education. Humans' cognitive abilities have been used through history far more to make war and destruction than to make parallel structure, far more X than Y, far more to make war and destruction than to make life easier or better. Please consider parallel structure. Always, it will help you. For instance, what will happen when physics and chemistry become accessible to everyone? These intellectuals claim that radical groups could use the higher education to make the world less safe to live than nowadays. Okay, I don't know. I mean, that sounds okay. I don't know why I put the bracket around it. You can just get rid of them, though. Less safe than nowadays, less safe to live than nowadays. They add that it is harder that, oh, I missed it. They add that it's harder to promote ethical, that it is, yeah. They add that it is harder to promote ethical and moral principles than to teach parallel structure, mathematics and physics, yeah, to promote than to teach, yeah. I'm trying to keep the 2 plus infinitive parallel. On the other hand, some opinion makers defend, without restriction, higher education for the whole world. They argue that all advances today have resulted, got to be present perfect, because today we're talking about something that has an effect in the present but started in the past. From just a tiny fraction of fortunate brains, when higher education becomes accessible to all, look, he's used the correct preposition here. Yeah, so it was wrong before, but he's got it right here. And so do make sure you're being consistent with prepositions. Accessible to all, more of those with privileged intellectual capabilities could make good use of this opportunity. Thus, the impact on all areas of human knowledge will be tremendous. They defend that this change could usher in a new era, not burst, but usher in. We use this phrasal verb meaning to bring in a new era, and could bring in would work as well, but I like usher in. It's one of the phrasal verbs that's in my phrasal verb book. This one here, guys. If you would like to learn more phrasal verbs, they're all in my visual phrasal verbs book. On that view, more minds mean further advances, not just scientific, but also philosophical and cultural. In conclusion, the question for some is when, and not if, HLE will become universal. Regardless of this, it is crucial to discuss the future of education and civilization. Okay, good. I hope you can see that the student who writes these essays, he is getting better. And many of the mistakes that he was making in the first few essays, he's not making anymore. I thought the education one was slightly better than the reforestation one. And it was mainly the reforestation constantly being repeated as reforesting that made it sound a bit weird. So please remember about these gerunds and verbal nouns. Yeah, it will help you to separate the two in your head. So thanks everybody for watching. I'm going to run off now and have a quick Russian class, and then I've got another student, and then I'm going to have a barbecue. because it's going to be nice and sunny. And then I'm going to get out on my boat and try a little bit. It's not a boat, it's a board, a sup board, a stand-up paddle board. And I've got a little sail now to one of those wings, yeah, that you can kind of hold up like this, and the wind pushes you along. So that's what I'm hoping to do later today, and I'll take the kids out as well, and it should be lots of fun. Okay, so thanks everybody for watching. I do appreciate your support, please. Well, don't worry about the like. I'm not going to leave this video on YouTube anyway. So please just come to my website. Forget likes, forget subscribe. Just come to my website as often as possible if you would like new classes. Okay, thanks everybody for watching. The website, of course, is skype-lessons.com. I still get people asking me. And so it's skype-lessons.com. But you can see this link on every single video that I've ever made, so please just click on that link if you want the lessons that you may have missed over the last few weeks. Okay.